Family doesn't charge family, honey. Consider it a lesson in character. My mother, Evelyn, said this while sipping a $12 latte, looking my 13-year-old daughter, Maya, dead in the eye. Maya had spent 6 weeks, her entire summer break, scrubbing floors, organizing a 4,000 square foot estate, and running errands for my mother's boutique staging business. Maya's hands were literally calloused. She had saved every penny in her head for a specialized coding laptop she needed for her advanced classes. But as of 5 minutes ago, her bank account was still at zero. My mother didn't just break a promise, she tried to break my daughter's spirit. What Evelyn didn't realize was that she hadn't just stiffed a kid. She had just handed the keys of her fraudulent empire to the one person smart enough to burn it down. By the time we were done, the word family was going to cost Evelyn everything she ever owned. Evelyn was the undisputed queen of suburbia in our corner of Connecticut. To the outside world, she was a self-made mogul, a visionary who could turn a hollow house into a $1 million dream. To me, she was the woman who made me feel like a second-class citizen my entire life. I was the reliable daughter, the one who stayed local and helped her through every crisis. While my brother, Marcus, the golden child, was the star who lived off Evelyn's secret wire transfers while pretending to be a high-flying entrepreneur in Los Angeles. When Evelyn's lead assistant quit during the busiest staging season in state history, she came to us with a rare smile. "It'll be good for Maya," she purred, smoothing my daughter's hair with a hand that had never known a day of manual labor. A real American work ethic. "I'll pay her $15 an hour, plus a massive bonus if we flip the Miller estate by August. Maya, bless her heart, is a tech prodigy. She didn't just clean. She digitized Evelyn's entire antiquated filing system. She created a cloud-based spreadsheet of every antique, every Persian rug, and every piece of authentic art Evelyn used to stage these million-dollar homes. Maya worked 10 swell days in the sweltering heat, hauling furniture and labeling inventory, fueled by the dream of that new computer. I watched her grow more confident, thinking her grandmother was finally seeing her value. I should have known better. My mother doesn't see value in people. She only sees tools. The 6 weeks ended on a Friday. The Miller estate had sold for a record-breaking $4 million, largely thanks to the meticulous staging Maya had perfected. Maya showed up at Evelyn's home office with her digital logbook, her eyes bright with excitement. But when we walked in, my brother Marcus was already there. He was leaning against Evelyn's heavy mahogany desk, tossing a pair of key fobs for a brand new, top-of-the-line SUV into the air and catching them with a smug grin. "Mom, where's Maya's check?" I asked, feeling a cold pit form in my stomach as I looked from Marcus to my mother. Evelyn didn't even look up from her ledger. She laughed, a light, tinkling sound that made my skin crawl. "I gave the bonus to Marcus, dear. He's moving back home to start his influencer agency and he needs a reliable, impressive car to maintain his image. As for Maya, well, she got a world-class education in business and aesthetics. I'm not paying a child to help her own grandmother. It's greedy, and frankly, it's insulting to the family bond. Consider those 6 weeks your contribution to the house of your ancestors." Marcus smirked at Maya, leaning in close. "Go play with your dolls, kid. The adults are talking about real money now." Maya didn't cry. She didn't scream or stomp her feet. She just looked down at the iPad she'd been using for Evelyn's inventory, her thumb hovering over the screen. "You're right, Grandma," she said, her voice eerily calm. "Family shouldn't keep secrets, and they definitely shouldn't take what doesn't belong to them." We walked out of that house in silence. For the next week, Maya sat in her room with the door closed. I thought she was grieving the loss of her summer and her trust. I went in to comfort her, but when I opened the door, the room was dark except for the glow of 3 monitors. "Mom," Maya said without looking back, her fingers flying across the keys in a rhythmic dance. Grandma didn't just stiff me. While I was digitizing her physical records, I found the acquisition receipts for the authentic Victorian collection she sold to the Sterling family last year. She bought them from a wholesale knockoff warehouse in New Jersey for $3,000 and sold them as originals for $80,000. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. She's been borrowing high-end furniture from her clients' estates after the contracts are signed and replacing them with high-quality fakes before the closing dates. She's not a decorator, Mom. She's a fence. I realized then that Evelyn's cruelty wasn't just a personality flaw, it was a smokescreen. She kept the people closest to her small and dependent so we wouldn't look too closely at the gears of her machine. She thought Maya was just a pair of hands to move boxes. She didn't realize she had invited a Trojan horse into her server room. We spent the next month building what Maya called the revenge infrastructure. We didn't just want the $3,600 she owed for the labor. We wanted to dismantle the lie she had lived for 40 years. Maya used her coding skills to trace the serial numbers of the antiques Evelyn had moved through her warehouse. I contacted a boutique law firm that specialized in high-end estate fraud and shared what we found. The lawyers were stunned. It wasn't just a few rugs. It was a decade-long pattern of interstate commerce fraud and tax evasion. The success reveal was planned for the annual Founders Gala, the biggest night in our town's social calendar. Evelyn was being honored as Entrepreneur of the Year. She had invited the whole family to sit at the head table, purely so we could witness her coronation. Maya dressed in a sharp black suit, looking older than her 13 years. I walked in with a slim manila folder that contained the power to end my mother's social and professional life. As Evelyn took the stage under the glittering chandeliers, the crowd erupted in applause. The projector screen behind her was supposed to show a montage of her most beautiful home transformations. Maya had volunteered to manage the media presentation from the back of the room to save the committee money. As Evelyn began her speech about hard work and the sanctity of family, the screen didn't show a living room. It showed a side-by-side comparison, a photo of an original 18th century French armoire from an estate she staged, and a photo of the cheap plywood replica she had swapped it with, complete with the shipping manifest from the fake furniture factory. Then came the spreadsheets, clear, undeniable evidence of 2 sets of books. The room went dead silent. The local district attorney, who was sitting at the front table as Evelyn's guest of honor, stood up and put down his glass. Evelyn turned around, her face turning a ghostly shade of gray. She tried to laugh it off, her voice cracking over the microphone. "It's a joke. My granddaughter is a little tech whiz. She's just playing a prank." Maya stood up from the soundboard and her voice projected through the entire ballroom. "It's not a prank, Grandma. It's a lesson in character. Family doesn't charge family. But the state of Connecticut certainly charges for grand larceny and wire fraud." The fallout was a landslide that buried everything Evelyn had built. Her business was shuttered by federal agents within 48 hours. Every client she had worked with in the last 5 years filed a class action lawsuit. The assets were frozen instantly. The brand new SUV Marcus was so proud of. It was repossessed while he was at the gym, leaving him to walk home in the rain. Because Evelyn had used her own home as collateral for her business loans, the bank moved in. She went from the Queen of Suburbia to a lead defendant in a federal case. Yesterday, I saw my mother for the first time since the gala. She's living in a cramped, 1-bedroom apartment on the edge of town, the kind of low-rent area she used to mock from her tinted car windows. Her designer clothes were gone, replaced by whatever she could salvage. She looked at me with watery eyes and asked if I could lend her a few $1,000s just to get back on her feet, for the sake of the family. I looked at her, then looked over at Maya, who was sitting on a bench nearby with her brand new, top-of-the-line workstation laptop, fully paid for by the whistleblower rewards she received for reporting the tax evasion. I took a slow sip of my coffee and looked my mother in the eye. "Sorry, Mom." I thought you said family doesn't charge family. Consider this a lesson in character. Maya didn't even look up from her screen. She was already busy coding her first app, building a future that her grandmother's greed could never touch. Evelyn thought my daughter was a weak kid she could exploit for free labor. She realized too late that she hadn't hired a servant. She had hired the architect of her own destruction. What would you do if your own mother stiffed your child of their hard-earned summer? Is blood always thicker than water? Or does a betrayal like this break the bond forever? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you think Evelyn and Marcus got exactly what they deserved, hit that like button and subscribe for more true American revenge stories.